Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Virtual Non-Deal Roadshow. My name is Julia Perron, a virtual event moderator here at Renmark Financial Communications. On behalf of our team, we'd like to thank everyone in New York and surrounding areas for joining us today for the presentation of Aura Minerals, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol AUGO. Presenting today is Rodrigo Barbosa, President and Chief Executive Officer. And with that, I will hand it over to Rodrigo.
Very nice to be with all of you here and present this company that has been recently listed in NASDAQ. It's a company that was originally listed in TSX in 2006. And what I'm going to share with you, it's a new story. It's a transformation that happened with the company after 2017, with new shareholders, new board, and myself also joined the company to promote a transformation and kick back the growth. Since then, we've made significant changes, which I'll go in more details later on, but we already made the number one performance, the entire TSX in 2021, number one performance, the entire TSX in 2022, and also we are among the highest dividend yield in the world. What I'm going to share with you, it's a combination of a company that it's producing, has a high growth through very high returns projects, while we've been able to pay a significant dividends to our shareholders due to the amount of cash flows that will be generated in our production. So in summary, we are a diversified gold and copper company. Around 80% of the production comes from gold, 20% comes from copper. We have the projects to be developed. They are all on gold, so copper should reduce a little bit its participation in the next few years, while we continue to look new opportunities to invest in copper. One we have within our portfolio. This will require more exploration, and we also monitor the M&A market in order to continue to grow, either in copper, but also in gold. Besides, now we have 6 operating mines, and we have additional 2 exploration projects. One of them should be converted, a developed project by the end of the year when we publish our feasibility study. That we will add, then that we will have 2 projects to be developed in the short term within the company. It's a company that has a proven track record of value creation. I will just give you an example. We invested since 2022, $482 million. All of those capex through projects that generate a significant high returns. And we're going to go through Almas, above 70% leveraged with the gold price 1900. We have Borborema of 35% with the gold price 2300, and more on all other projects that can generate a significant high returns, shorter payback, while we've been able to increase also our resources and reserves and pay dividends. Just a few examples on dividends. We paid $248 million of dividends and share buyback during the last 4 years, while we've been able also to continue to invest in growth and keeping the low leverage. That is the capacity that we've been able to show the market that we can grow, we can pay dividends, and maintain a low leverage. Looking to the future, and we have a very clear path to continue to grow. We're going to share with you a few examples. We'll continue to invest in exploration to increase resource and reserves. We actually doubled our resource and reserves since 2020. We believe we can potential to continue to grow our resource and reserves, while we've been able also to grow production. We came from back in 2017 2 operations. Now we have 6 operations plus 2 projects to be developed in the short term, and new M&As that are on radar that we continue to look at opportunities in order to continue to grow. And finally, but not least, what we believe, and I'm going to provide you a little more examples, is what we've been investing significantly in Aura. It's bringing one of the best team that we can find in the mining sectors. So this team has been able to, together with the right governance, to take the most we can from the operations. Well, we're going to share with you, we don't have a very large operations. We have a medium size, which is our strategy, because those opportunities normally are cheaper than the very large operations. But with the right team and with the right culture, we've been able to produce the ounce with the second quartile all-in sustaining cash costs, well below major mining companies, major gold companies in the sector. So we've been able, through medium-sized assets, deliver very high cash flow generation from operations through these low all-in sustaining cash costs that we've been able to manage in our operations. So in the next slide, when you see our at a glance, as I mentioned to you, we have 6 operations. We have Aranzazu copper, gold operations, Minosa, Honduras. There is operations in gold. Era Dorada, Cerro Blanco in Guatemala. It's a greenfield project. This is the one that we should be releasing the feasibility study by the end of the year. Toda Fria, it's a more long-term short gold project that we are not yet investing in Toda Fria. Then we have Apoena, which is within operation, doing a new phase of investment. Now the production is low, but should go back to a higher production in 2 years. We just acquired MSG. MSG, it's a mine that used to belong to Anglo Gold Ashanti, and we just acquired, now pending to close that. This is a running mine. The mine is being run, so the EBITDA should start as soon as we close the transaction. Almas is a project that we just invested. Well, last year was the first full year of our production. We delivered Almas, as we're going to see, on time, on budget. And then we also have Borborema. It's a new greenfield project that we just declared commercial production. So now we have 6 operations in this, and also Matupá and Era Dorada, which is the new projects to be developed in the near future. So in the next slide, as I was mentioning, this is a company that has gone through a major transformation, and all the transformation of the company was based on 3 important pillars. To have strong, any company to grow needs to have high quality assets and projects, needs to have a strong balance sheet, and needs to have a strong business culture and a strong team. This is the obvious, but what we've been doing in Aura, as I like to say, is we've been doing the obvious, but we do the obvious very diligently. So when you look a little bit at track record, what we've been doing since 2017, we reshuffled the portfolio, we sold some assets, we acquired other assets, we restarted one mine, Aranzazu, now that's in full production. And also we created a path to continue to grow through greenfield process. There was a major change in the portfolio in order to mix operations with greenfield projects, so we can fund our operations without having to access the market very often. Secondly, we also enhanced our strong balance sheet. We developed banks relationship with all the countries that we operate. We have more than 6 banks that we operate in Brazil, 2 banks in Honduras, 3 banks in Mexico, and also creating relationship now in Guatemala and other countries. While we sold some assets, we did one first smaller IPO in Brazil back in 2020. Recently, we raised over $205 million in NASDAQ, so that enhanced our balance sheet. Now we are almost 0 times and net debt to EBITDA, so that we're very strong to continue to grow, invest in our operations while we've been able also to pay dividends. And then thirdly, the team and culture, we've made several changes in the team, not only in the team, but also the way we make our decisions. In summary, we decentralized a lot of decision-making process from corporate. We enhanced the decision process at the operations. We simplified a lot copper. We implement a lot of meritocratic approach in order to focus a lot on cash flows and returns, and not only in operations or volume and tons. So with those 3 steps, 3 pillars, very enhanced, we've been able to grow significantly, way ahead of the industry, delivering way ahead of the industry margins and returns, due to the strong team, high quality assets, and now very strong out to continue to grow through M&As with a very strong balance sheet. Looking ahead, where are we going to deliver? Where are we going to continue to deliver shareholders value? Now we have a very clear 3 paths to continue to deliver value, which is the same strategy that we disclosed to the market when we re-IPO'd the company back in 2020. No change on the strategy. A lot of execution has been done, yet a lot more to do. So number 1, we will generate the value by delivering the greenfield project that we already have within our portfolio. Since 2020, we delivered Almas on time, on budget, a project that has a payback with the gold price 1900, 1.7 years. I would imagine now with the gold price at 3,800. We also developed and invested, acquired did the feasibility study, invested in our declared commercial production on time, on budget again for Borborema, a project that also delivers an internal rate of return above 35% with the gold price at 2,400. Now we are at 3,800. And still have to develop Matupá, which is a project in Brazil, gold project, and Era Dorada, one project that we recently acquired in Guatemala that we are analyzing now. Which one we're going to start the construction first, but either one or the other will start the construction next year, and the other will be subsequently. So we have an interesting pipeline to continue to grow our production while we've been able also to pay dividends. The second avenue to deliver growth and value to our shareholders is continue to invest in exploration. As I'm going to share with you, we more than double our resources. We doubled our reserves in the last 5 years through projects that still have a significant potential to expand the amount of gold we understand we have around the mines that we already operate. Very quick updates. Quick examples, Apoena, we bought this project back in 2016, we ramped up in 2017, it had only 3 years life of mine. We already operate 8 years, and now we have over 5 years. Another example is Aranzazu. We restarted this mine, it was under care and maintenance barracks in 2018. We had only 5 years life of mine in 2017 when we started this mine. In the following year, in 2019, we increased capacity by 30%. And we operated 6 years, and now we have 10 years life of mine. So we've been able to build the life of mine while we've been able to grow production, and we believe we can continue to do so. We have opportunities to do so along the next year. That's why we are continue to invest in exploration to increase the amount of gold. And the increasing the amount of gold is increasing the cash flows we have in our operations, extending the life of mine so that we can increase the value for our shareholders. And then number 3 is to increase our multiple. So we're going to increase production, we're going to increase the amount of gold we have within our portfolio, and we believe that we can still have a lot of room to increase our multiple, price per NAV. Although Aura has been able to grow significantly in terms of share price, since we listed in July in NASDAQ, we are more than 50% above after paying dividends what we launched, but yet we are discounted company. And why we are discounted company? Number one, it's a new story. Probably very few of you have heard about us before or only recently could hear about us. We are rapidly growing new company that's positioned in the market. So that's one of the reasons that we are discounted. Number 2, we had a low daily trading volume before the listing in NASDAQ. We were $2 million per day, $1.5 million per day, $2.5 million per day. And one of the reasons that we brought this company and listed in NASDAQ was to attract capital, of course, raise some capital, but also increase the amount of shares that have been traded in the market so we could increase the daily trading volume, and with that also access more sophisticated and bigger investors that now started to look on us. Okay, and also we can also participate in more index. So we are taking the steps towards taking the multiple. The daily trading volume is being now addressed. We believe we still have room to improve, but we are now between $15 to $20 million on average per day. Another reason, the second reason that we might be a discounter compared to our peers, that yet we need to continue to grow. Well, we produced this year, we should produce between 266 and 300,000 ounces per year with the project that we are acquiring. Serra Grande, plus the one that we can build, we see a clear way to go beyond the 600,000 ounces in the upcoming years, but yet we believe we need to go above these, perhaps reach 1 million ounces per year. That's why M&A continue to be our strategy, so that we can continue to add ounces to our production with, of course, generating high returns to our shareholders, and that will narrow the gap of the multiple that we have now discounted to peers. So we're going to generate the value by increasing our EBITDA with the new projects. We're going to increase our value by increasing the total gold that we will mine along the next years. And we're going to, on the top of these two, as a multiple effect, we're going to increase our multiple price per NAV if we continue to tackle this variable in the next years. So next slide, I'll pass a little quick. It just tells a little bit of the story. On the left side of the chart, we see dormant share price. That's why, because we were focused on turning around the company. I was not doing those kinds of interactions with investors, not even a quarterly earnings call. We were totally focused on fixing the assets, fixing the balance sheet, and fixing the team in the future. On the middle side, where you see on red, this is when we felt that we had a strong story to start retelling to the market. That was when we listed our company in the Brazilian Stock Exchange in B3, where we could attract more new investors, retell the stories, and so that's why you see the shares are going up, because the market realized that we were presenting a very good and strong opportunity for them to grow. And so we delivered during this red area on the middle side, as I mentioned to you. We had a lot of problems, but we had yet to deliver the projects of the greenfield. We had to deliver the increase in resource and reserves and so on. So, and that we routinely, we could year by year deliver on our promises, either by increasing resource and reserves, either by acquiring new projects, implementing greenfield projects, the second implementing greenfield projects. So that built confidence with the market. So when you see more on the right side, starting to show results on the right side, of course, also with together with a higher gold price, we could see the shares appreciating. And that's why when we also decided to then tackle the US market, delist from TSX and list in NASDAQ, where we could amplify and get access to a broader investors in the US. Once our story connects very much to the US investors that appreciate growth and dividends. So on the next slide, as a result, would highlight that we are significantly increasing, as you can see, our results in terms of production, in terms of net revenues, in terms of EBITDA. We come from a $22 million EBITDA last quarter. On the last 12 months, we published at $344 million, but with the gold price at $3,185. And not only now the gold price is at 3,800, which will have a significant impact of this EBITDA, but the two things coming up as of today. So number one, we just declared commercial production that was a couple of weeks ago of Borborema, which now will bring a higher level of production and a higher level of EBITDA by itself. Number two, we announced the acquisition of Serra Grande. It's a mine that last year produced 80,000 ounces. That is still pending to close. We expect to close by mid to the end of this quarter. And once we close, this is a producing mine that needs to be adjusted. We need to increase production. We have a plan to decrease the cost as well, but we'll also bring a new EBITDA. So on the next slide, as I was mentioned to you, when we see our all-in sustaining cash cost, although we have medium-sized, not extraordinary mines, but good mines, but with our extraordinary team, we've been able to reach extraordinary results. So with those mines, we've been able, not only we could acquire those mines at a much lower price and much lower multiple, because normally the market doesn't look to them, but we've been also to extract the highest value possible on those mines, running them very efficiently. So last year we finished all-in sustaining cash cost with $1,320, while the average is $1,600. But not only that, the greenfield projects that we have to develop, either we developed Almas, that's already producing with a lower all-in sustaining cash cost compared to our average. Borborema just started commercial production now, also with all-in sustaining cash cost below our average. Then we have to invest in Guatemala, Era Dorada, that we will also have all-in sustaining cash costs below our average. Matopá is the same. So we should see, with the exception of the asset that we acquired from Anglo, that will have some impact on the average, but we should see on average our all-in sustaining cash costs going down, while we will be increasing our production. Next slide on the guidance. As you can see, we already have the production of first quarter, production of second quarter published. We are finishing now the production of the Q3. Should be releasing the production of Q3 soon. We've been able to be very much within the guidance to the market, and that we believe we will continue to be on this movement to meet the guidance during the Q3 and also Q4. So we have no concerns about how the production is expected to finish the year. As I mentioned, we have now 6 operations. Aranzazu underground mine, 10 years life of mine, copper, gold, all-in sustaining cash cost, at cash cost at 158, and all-in sustaining cash cost at 1452. Minosa, the mine on Honduras, gold, open pit, heap leach. This is probably where we see a lower opportunity to increase life of mine. We now have 4 years life of mine production, about 76,000 ounces. Very interesting cash conversion. We might be able to increase the life of mine for a couple of years, but probably is where we are more limited. Then Apoena, this is the mine that we acquired in 2016, ramped up in 2017, already operated close to 9 years. We had only 3 years life of mine back in 2017. We operated close to 9 years and we still have 7 years, but yet only now there's a new deposit, understanding how is the gold formation, how is the gold deposit. So we believe that we can continue to significantly increase our resource and reserves in this mine. And I would say also this mine in the past used to produce between 60, 70,000 ounces per year. Now we are 32. Next year should also be a lower production. We are pushing back the pits, but once we connect the pits and reach higher grades and are not struggle at the pit, we should be also increasing our production up to 50 or 60,000 ounces on a yearly basis. Almas is a mine that we just invested. Last year was the first year of full production, producing 58,000 ounces. This mine is plenty of opportunities for it to increase. Actually, we are increasing capacity of the plant from 1.3 million tons. Now we are closer to 2 million tons and thinking about to expand further. We see an opportunity to go underground and combine with that open pit and also access other open pits. So this is the mine that we are doing a lot of analysis, and we believe we will be able to not only increase the life of mine, but also increase production, because then we can access different mines and put in the plant. And Borborema is the recently that we are just declared commercial production. We have now 11 years. It's going to produce on average in the first years 83,000 ounces. But this mine, we projected to 2 million tons per year. We are focused on the results, on the feasibility study, on the 820,000 ounces of reserves, but yet it has resources close to 2 million ounces. And those resources are already on the category that can be converted to reserves once we move one road. So part of the pit, part of the ounces crosses below a federal road. So we just put in our analysis on the plan, on the production plan, what we can and have access and permits to mine. But once we are already in discussions with the national authorities to move 7 kilometers of this road, and once we move, then we can add close to double the reserves of this mine. So that's why we also built this plant with 2 million tons, but flexible enough with a few more investments to expand to 3 or 3.5 million tons per year. So with these road movements, we'll be able to increase resource and reserves, but also the production profile. So on the next slide, as I was mentioning, and I won't go in more details because I want to leave extra time for our Q&A. As I mentioned, we have a very clear ways to continue to develop and to build value to our shareholders. This is not new. It's exactly what we published in 2020, but we've been executing and even enhancing this project. So we're going to increase production by developing greenfield project and look at the returns of the project that we invested. Almost 64 internal rate of return at gold price $1,900 on leveraged. Borborema, internal rate of return of 81% leveraged at the gold price $2,600. Gold price today is $3,800. Matupá, a project that we have yet to build and yet a lot of opportunities to access upsides, 36% internal rate of return with the gold price $1,900. So all those base assets that are either operating or we have to build we acquired during a very low gold price as compared to today. So that we already had high returns with the low gold prices. Imagine now with the gold price at 3,800. Second, we continue to invest in exploration. And third, to increase the multiple. We already tackled the first variable that was compromising our multiple, which was the daily trading volume. Now, $15 to $20 million is the start for major sophisticated investors and new indexes fund to consider us and put us on their portfolio. So that will also push our multiple up. But we believe that a full multiple will be achieved once we continue to grow and reach close to 1 million ounces. We have a very clear way to go beyond 600, but with new M&As, we believe can be at 1 million. So on the next slide, just a little bit more information. Of course, you can then check all the slides on our website. I won't go in details. We had the 450,000 ounces that we disclosed to the market last year of objective to achieve through development of project that we have internally. But after we publish this 450, and then we should be anytime soon upgrading these slides, we acquired Era Dorada that last year produced MSG that last year produced 80,000 ounces. Then we acquired Era Dorada that we did a PEA, pre-economic assessment, that shows that we can go up to 90,000 ounces, still with room to optimize, which we are now doing optimizing at the feasibility study. So when you add only these two projects, you'll see that we can go beyond 600,000 ounces in the next years. As I mentioned to you on the next slide, we have the case of Almas, Borborema. I mentioned to you very strong returns, very strong payback, and very strong also NPV. We are very much focused on returns, not so much focused on just grow by its growth, acquiring project with low returns just to get bigger, but needs to get bigger with a very high returns. And look at those projects are almost the way we think: $76 million of capex, $450 million of NPV with the gold price close to 2,000. Borborema is very, very much with the same example, with only 800,000 ounces that I mentioned to you, 32% internal rate of return with the gold price 2,259, and we still have room to double the reserves and also increase production. And of course, now gold price is significantly higher compared to when we published those results. Next slide is an example of Era Dorada. We did a PEA, yet pending to access further upsides that we are now working on the feasibility study and expect to release the report of the feasibility study by the end of this year. But yet with the gold price 2,400, giving us an internal return of 24% unleveraged and the NPV of $485 million. With that gold price, now we are at 3,800 gold price, and yet with upsides to access this project during the feasibility study. For those that are not very familiar with Era Dorada, just to highlight that this is one of the very few high-grade underground mines to be developed in the world. While the world on average as an underground produces between 2 or 3 grams per ton, this project offers opportunity to be 8.5 grams per ton, which is also translated to a lower all-in sustaining cash cost and higher NPV and higher return. The next one that we should be closing anytime soon is the acquisition of MSG. This is a mine that used to still belongs to AngloGold Ashanti. AngloGold has grown significantly in the last few years. MSG became non-core and not receiving attention also from central management. And so we saw also the productivity decreasing, production decreasing, costs going up, and gold production also going down. Many of our managers has also worked with Anglo and also on this mine, and we see at this acquisition an opportunity to, we'll take 6 months to a year of new capex, new investments, improving availability of the equipment, improving also the conditions on the ground and accelerating the development. But we believe that we can add value by increasing production, based on the numbers that they published last year on 80,000 ounces at $2,000 all-in sustaining cash cost. We see opportunity also to reduce that all-in sustaining cash cost. After the next 6 months or a year, we'll be doing all the adjustment, but you should see gradually after 6 months to a year those production going up and also in sustaining cash costs going down. This mine we just acquired for $76 million plus 3% of royalty to Anglo. So next slide is an example. So I gave you an example that we're going to grow, and going to grow through higher creative project. We're going to grow production. This is an example of what we've been doing in terms of exploration. We've been investing we were investing $7-10 million back in the days, but now we increased to $20-25 million, and that is being able to provide us an opportunity to increase resources by 100% in the last 5 years, and we should continue to invest this amount in order to continue to grow our resources and reserves on the top of growing production. And the third, we're going to grow production, we're going to increase resource and reserves, and we need to tackle the multiple. On the right side of this slide, you can see there already has a 0.8 times price per NAV. We needed to tackle two. We need to do more M&As and increase daily trading volume. The daily trading volume has been increased $15 to $20 million just recently, so it's the opportunity for smaller investors that want to come in because more and more sophisticated and bigger investors and the index should be coming as a shareholder base anytime soon. And the second, to tackle the price per NAV, is to continue to do M&A. And this is a team and board and shareholders that has been very actively involved with a successful M&A, not only through Aura, but also on the other jobs that we all had. So that's a few examples of M&As that we've been doing. This is since 2017, successfully acquiring, selling new projects, acquiring greenfield projects, acquiring brownfield projects, selling projects. So that shows that we do have the internal capacity and ability, improved track record of selecting the right assets, implementing them, and operating them efficiently. And we want to continue to grow through M&As on the top of our greenfield projects. I will jump in. This guy already provided all the numbers as a proven track record of value creation, capex that we spent, dividends and buybacks, and also our low net debt to EBITDA. That here shows 0.8, but that was pre our NASDAQ listing. Now we should be at 0.2, 0.1 if you do the pro forma right after coming in $205 million of capital from the IPO. And on the slide of Alnura Minerals, a recap, when you see our capital structure, we do have one larger investors, which is a well-known entrepreneur in the mining sector. Northwestern Enterprise has 48%. He's the one that started acquiring shares of Aura and became major shareholder back in 16, 17, and kicked the process for the major transformation, which is also, some of you might know, if you're an investor in the sector, is Paulo Brito. He's the founder of Yamana, and he grew Yamana from a couple $100 million to over $5 billion when he divested. And he sees in Aura an opportunity to do a similar, if not even bigger story, as they did also in Yamana. And the final slide, and I'll stop for questions, is this is a company that is extremely account for performance discipline. All the change we made in governments was to provide more decision-making process to the operations, but having them to make those decisions based on returns, based on social, and based on environmental responsibility. We want to generate the value, and this value needs to be generated through extremely high standards of social responsibility and also environmental responsibility. And actually, we've been recognized as one of the major companies that is pushing beyond what is absolutely necessary, beyond the benchmark in the world in terms of sustainability. We have a very laser focus on free cash flow, long-term value creation. We have a very clear vision where to grow and strategy, as I demonstrated to you, and a very also disciplined execution on those strategies. And of course, There's no empire buildings in Aura. We believe that value should also be distributed through dividends. That high dividend, we have the highest dividend yield in the gold sector and the listed company, and yet we are not compromising our growth. So this cash flow that this company is being able to generate from the operations with the gold price that was 2,500, 2,800, 3,000, it's very strong. It's strong enough that we can be the highest dividend yield while we've been acquiring, while we've been investing in exploration, while we've been implementing new projects. So when we believe now, even with the higher gold price, we will just accelerate this process to our shareholders. And with that, I will finish and take questions.
Thank you, Rodrigo, for the presentation. We will now start with the Q&A. Your first question for today, a viewer is asking, what was the cost to acquire the Era Dorada project?
We acquired Era Dorada project for close to $60 million. Half of it we paid upfront through cash and or Aura shares, and the other half is conditional to commercial production. So it was upfront close to $35 million, and the remaining will be paid in the first, second, and third year after we declare commercial production.
Do you hold any non-core assets that may be put up for sale?
Not yet. I think we still have a value to continue to generate our cash flows through our assets. What I would say is that as we grow and get beyond 600, 700, close to 1 million ounces, then we might start thinking about reshuffling. But yet we are very happy with the assets that we have.
Between Matupá and El Dorado, which project should be considered next up for development now that Borborema is online?
We don't have a decision yet. We see Era Dorada has a stronger returns, a stronger life of mine, stronger grades, but that the issue that the Bluestone had, this company had in the past that we acquired was they lost somehow the social license. They convert from underground to open pit, and they had a lot of pushback on the open pit. We are now considering moving back to underground. We are socializing with the communities, talking with the government. We expect things are progressing very well, but the decision to start the construction of Era Dorada will depend on us feeling super comfortable that the socialization has been gone very successful. But we believe that we should take this decision until the end of the year or early next year, either if we're going to start Era Dorada, and if you see that we need more time to socialize, then we go with Matupá.
What was the acquisition cost of Borborema?
Borborema was also slightly over $60 million US dollars. That was 4 years ago, and paid fully cash.
Does the company have any outstanding warrants or stock options? And if so, how many and what are the terms?
We don't have warrants. We do have stock options that are granted to senior executive at corporate. Some of those options has already been exercised. There's still some others pending still to exercise. On all stock options should reach close to 3 to 4% of total capital, including the old ones, and strike price varies, but the latest one was issued with $15 US dollars as a strike price. Now we are at close to $35, $36.
Is there a PEA for the Carajás project?
Not yet. Carajás is an earlier stage exploration project. We believe that's very promising, has very interesting results that we've been drilling. But yet we need 2 or 3 years more in order to have more information enough that we can have a solid PEA.
Do illegal artisanal miners pose any significant risks to your operations in Colombia?
We don't operate in Colombia. That is a greenfield project that still has a progress that should be made on licensing. That's not our focus right now. We are not investing in exploration that project. So I would consider Toda Fria, which is a project in Colombia, down the road after 5, 6, 7 years. It's not happening in the next 5.
Stock has more than tripled year to date. Have I missed the boat?
Not at all. I think stock has grown up significantly. but has also gold price. Gold price has increased also. Maybe it's less than this, but we have the operational leverage to grow more. And as I could provide and show, we are still discounted. We grew that much since the beginning of the year, but we are yet still discounted compared to our peers, and only now increase daily trading volume to $15 to $20 million. We do have the EBITDA coming in from Borborema in the next quarters, but the market has not yet fully priced those EBITDA. We still have projects to develop and new acquisitions, so we should not only see our generating value by the increasing of production, not only by increasing also our amount of gold that we know we have around our mine, but also increasing through multiple. So that's why this increase in our shares still put us behind. We are catching up, but we are still behind where we should be.
Congratulations on commercial production at Borborema. When do you feel the operation will get to full capacity?
We expect maybe during this quarter or early next year. It takes 1 or 2 more quarters until we get up to 100%. But we are already operating considering above 80%.
What do you see as the largest jurisdictional risks of operating in Brazil, and how do you mitigate them?
Normally on mining, the risk is more tied to how well you connect and how well you dialogue, how much support you have with the local communities. Of course, you need a very strong judiciary and legal system, democracy also. But once you have a very strong relationship with trust and transparency with the local communities and understand what they're doing, you share the value with them. We hire local managers, you train and try to have source everything you can from the local communities, and you have a very transparent communication with them. That is mostly what will guarantee you to have a long-term sustainable operation. Of course, also needs to meet the highest requirements on human rights, sustainability, environmental concerns, and also social.
What is Northwestern Enterprises' long-term plan for their shares?
I cannot speak by our shareholders. What we see is that Mr. Brito believes, he's from the sector, he believes, as I mentioned, in order that we can build an even stronger story that happened with the Yamana, and yet to have a lot to do to generate the value. Cannot speak for him, but I don't see him exiting full anytime soon.
Do you hedge or plan to hedge copper prices?
No, we don't.
Would you be more inclined to add a producing asset or development stage asset to the portfolio if you were to make an acquisition?
I think our acquisition strategy is based on either in a greenfield project that's very close to start construction, which was the case of Almas and Borborema, but also something that's already in production, which is the case of MSG. So we look both alternatives, and of course we always have to balance what brings more value and what kind of value you're going to port to that project once you're assumed.
Thank you, Rodrigo, for answering all of the questions. If you did not get a chance to submit your question, feel free to reach out to the appropriate account manager here at Renmark. This concludes our presentation for today, but before we go, I will turn it back over to you, Rodrigo, for final remarks.
Thank you for being here with us and understand a little bit more about our company. You can have full access through our website. Also, investor relations can contact Natasha. That will be happy to also answer you. What I wanted to share with you is what I shared just as a wrap up. It's a very few companies in the world can provide a combination of strong growth with high dividends. And we are not only promising that we are continuing to do this, but that's what we've been doing since 2020 when we decided we share the story with the market, because before, as I mentioned, we were super quiet. So what we will do is continue to deliver in what we've been delivering in the next 4 years. And on top of that, now we have very strong tailwinds that as gold price, we were already generating high returns and conversion of cash flow of EBITDA to free cash flows with the gold price at 2,500, 3,000. Imagine now at 3,800 or above, that is going to kick in with the production that we had in the past, together with the new production that's coming in with Borborema, that's just declared commercial production, and then Serra Grande after the MSG after we close. So we should see the next year EBITDA which is a significant increase compared to what we've been doing. And then we still have Era Dorada to develop, then Matupá to develop, and few other M&As to do. So we should continue to see Aura growing significantly while we've been able to share those values through dividends or share buyback with our investors.
Once again, this was Aura Minerals, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol AUGO. Thank you again to everyone in New York and surrounding areas for joining us today. Stay tuned for other presentations in your area. Thank you and see you next time.